Have you ever had one of those days where your mind just feels foggy? Like you walked into the kitchen and suddenly forgot why you were even there? Or maybe you're trying to remember the name of someone you've known for years and it just won't come to you. If so, don't worry, you're not alone. As we get older, it's perfectly normal for things to feel a bit slower upstairs. But here's something important to remember. Getting older doesn't mean your mind has to lose its edge. In fact, your brain is like a muscle. The more you use it in the right ways, the stronger it stays. And you don't need to be solving crossword puzzles every day or learning complicated new technology to keep your mind sharp. Sometimes, the best way to keep your brain active is also the most enjoyable, through simple, fun hobbies that don't require a single tech skill. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because staying mentally sharp doesn't have to feel like work. It can feel like play, can be creative, calming, even silly at times, and that's what makes it so powerful. In this video, we're going to explore 6 hobbies that are perfect for anyone over 60 who wants to stay mentally active, feel more energized, and enjoy life to the fullest. Let's start with something you might already love: gardening. Now, gardening isn't just about making your yard look nice, although that's a lovely bonus. It's actually one of the best ways to exercise your brain without even realizing it. Think about it. You're planning where to plant things, remembering watering schedules, tracking how different plants grow in different seasons. All of that activates memory, decision-making, and problem-solving. You're engaging your brain from multiple angles just by caring for a few plants. And it's not only good for your mind. Being out in the sunlight, getting your hands in the soil, breathing in fresh air, it's all incredibly grounding. Many people say gardening helps them feel calmer, more focused, and even happier. And if you're growing herbs or vegetables, you get the satisfaction of bringing your own fresh food into the kitchen. That sense of purpose, of nurturing something and watching it grow, as a way of lifting your spirits and sharpening your thinking all at once. But maybe you don't have a yard, or you're just not that into plants. That's okay. There's another hobby that exercises your brain in a very different way, and it's something anyone can do, anytime, anywhere. I'm talking about writing. Now, I'm not suggesting you write a novel or try to become the next famous author, unless you want to, of course. What I mean is taking just a few minutes a day to write down your thoughts, your memories, or even little stories from your life. Journaling is one of the most powerful tools we have to keep our minds active, and it's completely free. When you write, you're doing so much more than putting words on a page. You're organizing your thoughts, pulling memories from the past, reflecting on what matters to you. That activates parts of your brain linked to memory, language, focus, and emotional regulation. You're connecting the dots between experiences and giving your mind a chance to stretch and reflect in ways that watching TV or scrolling through your phone just can't offer. And if you have grandchildren or loved ones, imagine how meaningful it would be for them to have stories from your life in your own words. Things you've learned, things you've seen, even funny little everyday moments. What might feel like ordinary details to you could become cherished memories for someone else. Still, if writing isn't your cup of tea, don't worry. Let's talk about something a little more social, and maybe even a bit competitive. Playing games, especially card games or board games, is one of the most enjoyable ways to keep your brain alert. Whether it's a good old game of rummy, dominoes, Scrabble, or even chess, these kinds of games challenge your memory, logic, attention, and decision-making. You're thinking ahead, recognizing patterns, recalling rules, and interacting with others. That combination of strategy and social connection is a perfect recipe for mental stimulation. And here's something we don't talk about enough: the power of laughter. When you sit down with a friend or family member and share a fun game, there's often laughter, banter, little jokes, and moments that bring joy. That joy lights up your brain in all the right ways. It relieves stress, lifts your mood, and gives you a little burst of mental clarity. Even a 20-minute game can leave you feeling more connected, more alert, and more alive. You don't need any screens, no logins, no passwords, no apps. Just a deck of cards or a board game you may already have in the closet. Or better yet, teach a younger family member a game from your own childhood. That exchange of knowledge, that passing down of tradition, strengthens not just your brain, but your bond with the next generation. Now that we've looked at a few hobbies that bring both joy and mental clarity, let's keep going. We've already talked about how gardening, writing, and playing games can keep your mind sharp, your spirits lifted, and your days more enjoyable. But those are just the beginning. There are still more simple, fulfilling hobbies that don't require any fancy technology, yet they wake up your brain in ways you might not even notice at first until you realize how much more focused, calm, and confident you feel. Let's talk about a hobby that combines relaxation, focus, and creativity: crafting. Now, crafting can take many forms. It might be knitting a cozy scarf, crocheting a blanket for a new grandbaby, making handmade cards, or sewing something useful or decorative. You don't have to be an expert. The goal isn't perfection, it's engagement. When your hands are busy with something like knitting or stitching, your brain gets into a rhythm that's incredibly soothing, but also mentally stimulating. You're following patterns, making creative choices about colors and textures, and staying alert to what you're doing. It's almost like a form of meditation, but with visible results. There's something deeply satisfying about creating something from scratch, especially with your hands. You begin with just a few materials and turn them into something beautiful, useful, or meaningful. That process helps you feel more capable, more grounded, and more connected to the present moment. And if you've ever given someone a handmade gift, you know how special that feels. Crafting doesn't just keep your brain sharp, it often becomes a way to show love, to give joy, and to stay socially connected in a very personal way. If crafting isn't your thing, or maybe your hands aren't as nimble as they once were, there's another wonderful activity that you might enjoy just as much: learning to play a musical instrument. Now, I know this one might sound intimidating at first. You might be thinking, at my age, I've never played an instrument in my life. But let me reassure you, learning a few simple notes on something like a harmonica, a keyboard, or even a ukulele isn't about becoming a musician. It's about giving your brain a new challenge in a joyful, playful way. Playing music, even just practicing a little bit each day, helps build new neural pathways. It improves hand-eye coordination, memory, and even listening skills. And you don't need to perform for anyone. You can keep it entirely private, just something between you and the instrument. Think of it like brain exercise that also happens to sound nice. And if you used to play something years ago, say a bit of piano or violin, this might be the perfect time to revisit it. Muscle memory is a powerful thing, and you might be surprised how quickly your fingers remember what to do. Even humming along as you play, or singing softly while you learn, brings another layer of benefit. Singing itself, by the way, is also wonderful for mental health. It strengthens breathing, improves mood, and helps keep your memory sharp by recalling lyrics and melody. But maybe you're thinking, I'd rather be moving than sitting still. Well, there's one more hobby I want to talk about that blends physical movement with mental awareness, and that's mindful walking. This isn't just walking for exercise, although that's certainly part of it. This is walking with intention. Walking while noticing. You don't need a destination. You don't need to power walk or count steps. You just need to take a walk and allow yourself to really observe the world around you. Look at the trees, notice the cloud, watch the birds, take in the small details, the smell of the grass, the sound of your footsteps, the feeling of the breeze on your face. These small details engage your brain in the present moment. That practice of tuning in instead of tuning out helps strengthen focus, memory, and emotional balance. It's incredibly simple, but incredibly powerful. Some people even say it brings them more peace than meditation. And you don't need anything except a safe place to walk and a willingness to slow down and pay attention. You can even combine it with another hobby. For example, take a small notepad with you and write down one thing you notice during your walk when you get back. Or pick a leaf or flower and press it into a journal. These tiny rituals add richness to your day and purpose to your movement. Whether it's crafting, playing music, or taking mindful walks, these hobbies aren't just about filling time. They're about feeding your mind, reconnecting with yourself, and giving your brain something positive to chew on. You don't need screens. You don't need to download anything. You just need a little curiosity and the willingness to try something new or pick up something old you used to enjoy. And in return, you might just find that your memory feels clearer, your thoughts feel sharper, and your days feel more meaningful. Let's keep going. So far, we've talked about gardening, journaling, games, crafting, music, and mindful walking, all simple, meaningful ways to keep your brain sharp and your days full of purpose. And the beauty of each of these hobbies is that they don't just challenge your mind, they also bring comfort, joy, and a deeper connection to yourself and others. But there's one more hobby I want to share with you. It's something we often take for granted because it feels so ordinary, so familiar, familiar. And yet, it's one of the most powerful brain boosters out there. Reading aloud. Yes, reading out loud. Not silently. Not just scrolling through news articles or flipping pages while watching TV. I mean really reading clearly, slowly, and out loud. It doesn't matter if you're reading a newspaper article, a poem, a short story, or a favorite book from your younger years. The act of reading out loud uses multiple parts of the brain at once: memory, language, attention, even emotion. It's like a full workout for your mind, wrapped up in a simple, calming activity. And here's something you might not expect. Reading aloud also improves breathing, speech clarity, and focus. It slows you down just enough to make each word count. And when you hear your own voice telling a story, even if it's just to yourself, it brings a sense of presence and awareness that's hard to get from silent reading alone. You can read to yourself in the mirror, read to your spouse or partner, or even call up a grandchild and read them a story over the phone. Some people like to join community reading circles or book groups, and others just enjoy cozying up in their favorite chair with a good book and letting the words come to life out loud. And if you're someone who struggles with memory, reading something familiar, like an old favorite, can actually help bring those memories back. Certain stories, phrases, or even just the rhythm of the language can open mental doors that have been quietly closed for years. It's not just about keeping your brain sharp, it's about reconnecting with parts of yourself you may have forgotten. Now, whether you choose to pick up a book, a garden tool, a paintbrush, a deck of cards, or even just a pair of walking shoes, the important thing to remember is this: you're not too old to grow. That's worth repeating. You are not too old to grow. In fact, the mind never truly stops learning. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your brain still has the power to form new connections, to adapt, and to stay strong. What it needs is attention, nourishment, curiosity, and yes, a little fun. These hobbies we've talked about today aren't chores. They're invitations. Invitations to re-engage with life, to rediscover parts of yourself that may have been buried under years of routines, responsibilities, or even doubt. Because the truth is, many of us forget that we're allowed to enjoy things just for the sake of enjoying them. So if you've been feeling a bit foggy lately, or bored, or just stuck in a rut, I hope this video gave you a few ideas to break through that. You don't have to take on everything at once. Start small. Just try one thing. Give yourself permission to play, explore, mess up, laugh, make something, notice something, share something. And while you're at it, remember that every time you do, even for just a few minutes, you're doing something powerful for your brain. You're building mental resilience. You're protecting your memory. You're improving your mood. You're keeping your mind young. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one hobby that keeps you sharp, calm, or inspired? Or is there something you've always wanted to try but never made the time for? Share it in the comments. I truly enjoy hearing your stories. You never know, your comment might give someone else the motivation they need to try something new too. If this video spoke to you, if it reminded you that your best days aren't behind you, please give it a like. It really helps the channel and lets me know you'd like to see more content like this. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week, I share practical, uplifting videos to help you live a healthier, happier, more independent life after 60. Because this chapter of life, it can be rich, it can be joyful, it can be filled with new discovery. You just have to believe that it's not too late and that you're not done yet. So, here's to you. Here's to living fully. Here's to staying sharp, staying curious, and saying yes to the things that make you feel alive. No tech required, just your heart, your hand, and a little bit of wonder.
Like and subscribe my channel.